guys, and welcome to Kenny Larsen's Eagle Court of Honor. It's a great day. My name is Michael Swalbert, and I'm the Section W3 and Chief for the Order of the Arrow. And I have the distinct honor of serving as the Master of Ceremony for Kenny's Eagle Court of Honor. To start things off, I would like to call up Carter Fogelman to lead us in the presentation of the colors.
Will the audience please rise? Color guard, attention. Color guard, advance. Color guard, halt. Color guard, please prepare to post the colors. If you are in uniform, I invite you to salute. If you are not, I ask you to please place your right hand over your heart. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
2. Color guard, post the colors. Color guard, reform. Color guard, dismissed. Will the audience please be seated?
Thank you, Carter and Troop 73. At this point, I would like to call up the President of the Marin Council, Mr. Bill Barton, to convene this Eagle Court of Honor.
Welcome, everyone. On behalf of the power vested in me as the President of Boy Scouts of America Marine Council, I hereby convene this National Eagle Scout Court of Honor.
Barton. At this point, I would like to call up Pastor John Beckman of the Good Shepherd Lutheran Church to lead us in our invocation.
It's an honor to be here, to be a part of this ceremony with Kenny and his family. He's grown up here, he's volunteered, he's represented us so very well. So many of our members I know are here very, very proud of Kenny. Let us begin this day in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Gracious God, we give you thanks for this day, all that it represents, the family, friends, the adults, and the leaders who have gathered here for this young man. Pray your blessing upon him and his family, upon all those who are gathered here this day. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
At this point, I would like to call up the Troop 73 Committee Chair, Ms. Nancy Roselle, to lead us in the legend of Eagle Mountain.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to this special celebration. I'm Nancy. I've been in the troop since shortly before joined, so I've been able to watch this impressive progress through the ranks and through the program. And you're going to hear a lot about that. We're going to hear the stories about this trail. But before we begin with that, Kenny asked me to read the legend of Eagle Mountain, and it should give you an idea of the significance of progression that he has been through and what comes next. So, the legend of Eagle Mountain. Early one morning, a young boy stood at a trailhead. Before him rose a mighty mountain, which seemed all the mightier when compared with his smallness. A trail led to the mountain and then up it to incredible On this trail, the boy could see other boys and young men, some of whom turned and beckoned him to follow. The boy began to climb, refusing perhaps to believe that he could ever reach the top. At first, the trail rose gently, and the boy had many companions. But soon, he began to sweat and breathe heavily, and many of his companions turned away. But still, the boy climbed. At times, he climbed quickly. At times, he climbed slowly. At times, he had to go down a little way to find another path or stop a while to catch his breath. But still he climbed. The trail became steeper, the air thinner, but the climber scarcely noticed, for he had along the way become stronger of body and hardier of spirit. And still he climbed. Finally, in the cool peace of evening time, he stood alone at the top of the world and looked around him. To the left, he saw a fiery golden sunset. To the right, he saw a diamond-studded, silky black night sky. Behind him, he saw the trail that he had followed and the hikers who were following in his footsteps. And in front of him, he saw another mountain, and another, and another, and a whole procession of mountains marching off to the horizon. But the young man, for now he was the man, knew that none of these other mountains was insurmountable, and that all could and would be climbed. For he had learned many skills in the climbing of the first mountain, and he would carry those skills along with him long after this mountain is forgotten. And besides, he could begin climbing the next mountain tomorrow. Tonight, he would rest and celebrate and ponder the journey that he had completed. And so tonight, we pause to rest and celebrate and honor this fine young man, Eagle Scout Kenny Larsen, as he stands at the top of the world and looks around him. Congratulations, Kenny.
You thought it was over, Kenny. It is just beginning, let me tell you, it is just beginning. Kenny certainly has not been on this journey alone, and in his travels, he's met numerous people who have been there for him in so many ways. And so at this point in time, I would like to call up a few guest speakers, first of which is Mr. Mark Fogelman, Troop 73 Assistant Scoutmaster, to share some of his thoughts on Kenny's journey.
Well, good afternoon. It's nice to have you here to help celebrate your achievements, not only in scouting and the Order of the Arrow, but also your service to the community around us. Today, I will share some stories and some observations, not only from me, but from other leaders and other scouts, in remembrance of some of the things that we have enjoyed as we have had the privilege, the honor, and the pleasure of walking alongside Kenny on his path to Eagle. And that actually includes some of Kenny's own favorites, thoughts, memories, and maybe not so favorite memories. When you think about Troop 73, a lot of us think about a very outgoing, activity-oriented, outdoorsy kind of troop. One of the things that I think about Kenny, when I think about Kenny, is that he took kind of a different path within our troop. Yes, he went on a lot of outings, but one of the things that he brought to our troop was a perspective of how we could be more inclusive of providing a service to others around us. That is one of the legacies that I think Kenny will leave with this troop. Now, I've got some things that I'm going to read because they were written by other people, and some things that I will get back to on my own, and it's all fun. Kenny is one of those guys who takes the spirit of scouting too hard. Everything he does is for the better of scouts, the community, and the whole world around him. There's only one time that I don't think the leader who told me this thought that he got caught to satisfy his own desires. But we'll get back to that in a second. Rumor has it that at Kenny's first and actually only summer camp outing, his experience was that he only earned one merit badge. One. And that was because we needed to win the Baden-Powell Order, be awarded that. And the only way to do that, of course, was that every scout that went to summer camp had to have at least one merit badge. But that wasn't Kenny being lazy. That wasn't Kenny just overlooking. That wasn't Kenny hiding off in the woods somewhere. You know what he was doing? While the other scouts, some of them were getting 5, 6, 7, and even more merit badges, Kenny was helping the younger scouts who weren't advancing as quickly. He spent a week getting them ahead, helping them advance, helping them get it. That's the kind of selfless young man that this young man is. He even, during that time, during a skit, had hot sauce splashed in his face. But the interesting thing was, the first thing he did was run over and make sure the other scouts had it all off their face before he wiped it off his own. That's what he did. So when he was elected SPL, and that's Senior Patrol Leader for our troop, he had already been the Order of the Arrows Lodge Chief for a year. That is a very prestigious position in scouting. And some would say that might have left little to learn as just a senior patrol leader. But it wasn't. When he was asked about it and what he was doing it for, he said, so that I can make the troop better. And that's what he worked to do for the next 6 months during his tenure as our leader. His goal was to implement some changes he had heard about and seen from other troops, carrying to us, and also to be the best example possible for the future of young and youth leaders in our troop. As you'll hear from other speakers, we all believe that Kenny cares deeply about the scouts around him and encourages them all with unfailing energy. He's recruited many of our scouts from our troop into the Order of the Arrow. I would venture to say probably more scouts than had been recruited in many years past. And he has changed their paths to Eagle dramatically. And he's brought Eagle Scouts in from to our troop from all over the area. And he's even become a resource to the Marin Council committees who look to him as they would any dedicated adult leader. So, back to the little less selfless Kenny. So on one outing, it was told to me, Kenny was leading the food plant. It came to a question on the lunch of the last day of the trip, what are we going to do for the trip? And one of the scouts, he said, we should have In-N-Out on the drive home. Someone else suggested, we should be making food at camp so that we could prolong, the stay there and hang out a bit. Kenny's response was, but some scouts really like In-N-Out. really like In-N-Out. By the look on his face, this leader that told me this story said they had all figured out who that scout might have been. Nobody argued. And as leader, he got his In-N-Out. Along with it. So, and then it's funny because he let on also that he really doesn't eat burgers except on the scouting outings. And so, Mr. One of the Roselle boys, Joe, he said he had looked at the menu and it was definitely on the junk food side. So anyway, as far as me, I remember going to winter camp one time with Kenny a number of years ago. And he doesn't ski, I don't ski. And so it was decided, the troop, since there was absolutely no snow, nobody was skiing, we were going to bring our bikes and we were going to have a mountain bike riding trip for summer camp, for snow camp. And as things turned out, I wasn't feeling great. Kenny was not really well about mountain biking down the face of the Sierras. And Mrs. Rempe, after carpooling a number of boys up and scouts up to the rendezvous point to drop the kids off to go down the mountain, was Mrs. Rempe, Kenny, and I headed back to camp in the car, and we geocached the whole way. We laughed, we yacked, it was awesome. I mean, it was really amazing. So the other day, I was talking with Mrs. Rempe about some of her memories. And she said something that was really profound and absolutely true. And she said, you know, Mark, sometimes when we're talking with Kenny, we forget we're talking to a young scout and not an adult. And I thought, wow, you're right. And that's because when you chat with Kenny, you're chatting with a very responsible and mature young man. And you forget sometimes that they're not an adult. By the way, Kenny, how's that geocaching merit badge going?
On the way.
No. But that's okay, because one of the favorite merit badges that I ever held at Scout earn was a camping merit badge, which was one of your last three. You came out of the house, Carter was there, and we got done, and after it, we went out and had pizza, just the three of us. We laughed and joked and had, that was actually a day that I realized you weren't an adult. Because we were joking so hard. But what was hard was about that time, your voice was now baritone, so deep, and the laugh was so heavy, that's like amazing. So anyway, that was one of your favorite moments. One of the other moments that was probably not as favorite was another scouting deal. When you were young, you would come over to our house and you would work on some project. Unfortunately, there was a wasp nest in our ground. And all of a sudden I heard this yelp. And then I looked and his eyes were about this big around. And a stiffened upper lip, and I mean, oh, the tears were going to come out. But that stiff upper lip with the slight quiver, it stunned me. I go, oh yeah, you know, and I was trying to be really understanding, and it's like one of those things, so let's get away. No, it stung me. And he was so indignant. Like, why would he sting me? And he said, I said, well, you know, those things happen sometimes. He says, I was wanting to avoid that my whole life. So, that was one thing. The other thing that he came over for was not scouting, and was with his family and his sister. And we were doing Christmas cookies. They were doing an amazing job. And his sister was outdoing herself, and Kenny, on the cookies. Kenny is her sibling, was the sweetest. I thought, this is what siblings should be about. And I have watched you two, through the years, be some of the most impressive brother and sister team I have ever seen. So, some of Kenny's favorite memories and things that he did was seriously, the countless service projects that he was involved in and organized. All the years he went to winter camp. I didn't go, like he didn't like skiing, I didn't like the snow. And then he also loved rock gymnasium. And one of the things he said that was interesting was he loved going to the meetings. Of all the things that over the years that I have heard about favorite things, I dare you to find out when one scout again that would say, one of my favorite things was going to the meetings. But the reason that was whether when he was at a meeting or an outing, he was mostly focused, and has been focused on the younger scouts and helping them. And that's when he's not planning huge events for the Order of the Arrow, doing the banquets, or meeting scouts from all over the world. And as this one leader said, I don't know where he gets his energy or his patience, but it is remarkable. Thank you, Kenneth, for being that incredibly remarkable scout and leader. And congratulations.
Brings back good memories, right, Kenny? This is the time where the memories you tried to forget, they resurface. It's just one day, though. We can get through it. At this point, I would like to call up Dan Hicksonbaugh, Troop 73 Assistant Scoutmaster, to share some of his thoughts on Kenny's Eagle Scout career.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Actually, I was asked to come here today on behalf of another assistant scoutmaster who had quite a job helping Kenny plan his Eagle Scout project. And unfortunately, that ASM for a troop couldn't be here today, so called upon me to come up here and read to you this wonderful letter that he wrote out for Kenny. Hope you all enjoy what Assistant Scoutmaster Rob Marshall has to say. I'll throw in my 2 cents. So, from Mr. Marshall. Wow, where do we start with Kenny? It's not what Kenny has done, it was hasn't done, and what he hasn't done. Kenny is one of those natural leaders. He has the ability to rally the troop no matter what the situation is and complete whatever the objective is. Kenny has held almost every leadership role in the troop, and that wasn't enough. He was quickly elected to the Order of the Arrow, where he rose through the ranks and became the leader of the Arrow. I will never forget the story about interviews for Scout of the Year a couple of years back. One of our ASMs was on the interview committee when Kenny came forward to be interviewed. I asked to be recused because I knew Kenny and told the other leaders that I can't wait to hear what you think of Kenny. When I came back after the interview, he asked the other leaders, so what did you think? They responded, he blew our socks off. There was no other scout even close to Kenny or how he presented himself to us as a very well-spoken and able leader. That year was an easy year for them to make the nominating of the Scout of the Year. When Kenny was elected SPL, I knew as an ASM that good times were coming. When Kenny did his work and identified what the troop needed as a leader, he engaged the troop by working with them and giving them a plan for his term. He gathered all the scouts around in a circle and stood in the middle of the circle and laid out his plan. He was dynamic, engaging the scouts, and the scouts walking around, making eye contact and getting everyone involved. Kenny always had a plan, and if things went sideways, he had a backup plan up his sleeve. One day last summer, I got a call from Kenny, and he asked me if I would be the ASM for his Eagle project. I was surprised that Kenny had picked me, but I was also flattered because I fully respect Kenny as a person and a scout. I said, "So you have a plan for what you want to do?" Full knowing that Kenny had everything planned to the T. Kenny said, "I sure do." He then spent the next 30 minutes explaining what he wanted to do and how he was going to do it. I asked if he had his idea approved, and he said that he was, as he was called after he got me on board. Kenny's project was a leadership retreat for kids ages 10 and 11, teaching them teamwork and leadership skills. I had never heard of a scout doing a project like this before, but I was excited. Needless to say, the retreat was fantastic, and the kids had a ball. I really enjoyed being a part of it and watching Kenny and the scouts he picked to help him put this day-long program together. Sometime after Kenny called me about this Eagle project, he called me again and said, "Mr. Marshall, I have 3 weeks of my summer left. I was hoping I might be able to get a job with that time." I asked what he had in mind, and he said, "Well, I have heard that your son has worked at your hotel in the past and was wondering if you had any work I could do." I asked Kenny if he had a work permit, and he said no, but I would get one. I told Kenny, "Call me when you have the work permit and I will see what I can do." 2 days later, he was standing in my lobby with his work permit and said, "Mr. Marshall, all I need is your signature and I'm ready to go." Needless to say, Kenny started work the next day, working in a housekeeping department. I told him the work would be hard and ever-changing, if that was what he was going to help everyone, and as a built-in team member. Kenny smiled and said, "I am ready." The second challenge of Kenny was most of my staff speak very little English. Kenny said, "This is going to be fun." Kenny folded sheets, towels, ran supplies to staff members and other parts of the property, set up banquet tables, broke down banquet tables, and on and on and on. 3 weeks went by so fast, and Kenny was saying, "Well, it's time for me to go to school." My director of housekeeping said, "No, we want you to stay." back. She has come to me a couple of times this last summer saying, I need some help. Do you think we can call Kenny? And I said, I know school comes first for Kenny, which you can always ask. I have to say, over the past 8 years, I've been scouting. Kenny stands out as one of the best scouts I've ever worked with. I look forward to being as Eagle Corps of Honor. Thank you, Mr. Larsen. I just want to say a couple of words real quick. That everybody here who knows Kenny knows that this young man means is what scouting means, just by him doing what he does, the way he does it. And every scout here should look up to this young man and try to be just like him. Thank you, Kenny.
Bob. If I can call up at this time Mr. Chris Cardinal, the Lodge Advisor for Tawaka Lodge. Oh, I skipped a line. This happens, Kenny, after you get Eagle 2 years, you skip lines. So, sorry, Mr. Rempe. At this point, if I can call up Mr. Dave Rempe, Troop 73, Scoutmaster. Scoutmaster, Dave Rempe. It's really been my pleasure working with Kenny since I first met him. I've got a couple stories. We've heard a little bit about him, but I'll reiterate a few things and fill in some blanks. So Kenny Larsen is an Eagle Scout. Wasn't he always an Eagle Scout? In a lot of ways, he was always an Eagle Scout in his manner and aspirations and the way he conducts himself over all the years that I've known him as a scout. And he's got a happy, infectious, charismatic, idealistic enthusiasm towards scouting and his fellow scouts. And he's an achiever. You can look at the list on the program and see that, some might say overachiever, but he does things more in order to further the cause of the troop or the lodge or the community rather than to enrich his own resume. He wants everything to go great, and he's willing to be in any position it takes to make that happen. So most of the people I've met, I couldn't remember the specifics of meeting them for the very first time, but I remember when I met Kenny. I told this story to Glenn a few weeks back at Kenny's Eagle Board. I was at a school fundraising event at the Old Hill School with my wife, Tracy and Joey. And I was serving dinner to the crowd, and we hadn't been in the troop very long, and I don't think I'd been even wearing my uniform to the meetings or anything. And he'd probably seen me, but anyway, after a while, I got my chance after feeding everyone to finally sit down and have some iceberg lettuce and some reddish pasta. When this kid with glasses plops himself down in front of me and across the table, he says, "Hi, you're Joey's dad, I'm Kenny." So then I continued to have a full-on conversation with this 11 or 12-year-old kid who didn't really know me yet, but he apparently wanted to. And soon he was filling me in about his sister was in the band and his scouts and the outings he'd been on and what he was going to do for the next year in scouts. And needless to say, I was pretty impressed with him. By now I've done a lot of activities with Kenny, and for each one he was a pleasure to be around. He's the scout that always wants to know how you're doing and if he can help out or what should be done next. So this past summer, Kenny got to go to summer camp. He's up until then spends time in Minnesota and never gotten a chance to go to summer camp with the troop in Marine Sierra. He was so excited and showed it in everything he did that whole week. He seemed most to enjoy teaching the younger scouts in camp their tote and chip axe skills and their fire skills. And anytime he was around camp, some young scout would stop him and want him to do skills, and he would oblige every time. He would pass up mealtime, almost, to make time for them. It was remarkable to watch. And so while we were up there, he really wanted to perform this skit in front of the whole camp at the last campfire. For this discussion, I will say this was all Kenny's idea. He and a group of scouts
put this plan together, and they didn't really tell the adults exactly what they were up to. They hauled an entire picnic table up the rocks to the campfire area. They borrowed some large jackets and sweatshirts from the adults. They brought lots of food items up there as props. Started out with one scout behind the other one, sitting at a table with a big sweatshirt on, and then the other scout had his arms up inside his sweatshirt. And the scene started out something like, hey, let's make some sandwiches. There's all these items on the table. Why don't you pass me the mustard? As these blind arms try to do simple lunch-related tasks. Well, it's quickly turned into a one-table food fight. As the whole camp looked on, and it ended with mayonnaise and mustard and mouthwash, and unfortunately for Mr. Larsen here, hot sauce everywhere. My sweatshirt still has this weird mouthwashy hot sauce smell to it. The aftermath is a whole other story. We'll talk about that another time. Kenny's the only senior patrol leader I know that started his tenure in front of the scouts with a mission statement. Outlining his intent, his hopes, his dreams for what the troop could be during his tenure in office. Last year he comes up to me and says, Mr. Rempe, can I tell you about my Eagle project? Of course, I said, thinking it would probably be, a building project or some similar community service project I've seen before. I'm thinking of Leaders of Tomorrow Day Camp. We'll get a bunch of kids together from 8 to 10 years old. They'll participate in leadership exercises and games in a safe and friendly environment that'll help these kids get in touch with their own power to be successful now and throughout the rest of their lives. I said, oh, sure. I was thinking of doing that. So, I have the day's itinerary all worked out, and I was hoping that you'd give me a hand and be on staff and help me make it happen. Well, I did, but like I said before, it was all pretty much worked out. It was an ambitious idea that I'd never heard of as a project. I brought together a youth and adult leader staff to help open the eyes of a set of youngsters to something that they didn't even think they had to know. It was pretty incredible. So now, Mr. Larsen, you taking notes? You aren't even done yet, because you've achieved the rank of Eagle before your 18th birthday and scouting. So I'm very glad you'll be with us for a while, help move this group forward, and show the next generations of scouts how it should be done. I couldn't be more proud than to have worked with you up till now, and to be able to continue working with you for the rest of the time.
I'm convinced that Kenny is probably the only senior patrol leader in the country that ever stood up in his first meeting with a mission statement. Very impressive. I did not know that. Very, very impressive. Now at this time, if Mr. Chris Cardinal, the Tulaga Law Advisor, can come forward and share his thoughts on Kenny's career in the Order of the Arrow.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm the Lodge Advisor for Tulaco in the Order of the Arrow here in Marin County. And I met Kenny at his ordeal in 2012. And I noticed on here, he's a lodge chief in 2013. Then I find out here that he wasn't even the SPL yet. So that explains a lot, Kenny. That explains a lot. I would like to describe Kenny in probably in terms of the Scout Law. And so Everybody get ready here. Kenny is number 10 in the Scout Law. Count it. That is, a Scout is brave. And this is the way I've known Kenny. What I just tried to make light of, which is he's in Tobacco basically a year. He runs for Lodge Chief, and he's elected Lodge Chief. He has no clue what the Lodge Chief does. Not a bit. Then, after he's the Lodge Chief, then he sticks his foot into the section, which is away from the Lodge. So he figures, well, in for a penny, in for a pound, I suppose. He starts working up at section. So I admire Kenny because the guy is just not afraid to fail. He is willing to step out in front and take on any challenge pretty much at any time. You probably could think about it a little bit longer, but I think that would probably ruin the spontaneity of it somewhat, and the way I actually think of it. So I am absolutely delighted to be asked to come up here and talk about Kenny. One of the things Kenny knows that I enjoy doing a lot is playing golf. And I've got a story that I don't tell very often. And it's about how golf, when golf was first invented, it was primarily well, if you go way back, it's a bunch of sheep herders with a stick hitting sheep around. But of course, the rich guys took it over pretty fast when they figured out it was a lot of fun. And the first golf balls that were made were called featheries. And a feathery is pretty much what it sounds like. You take a bunch of chicken and goose feathers, you pound them into a really tight little ball, and then you wrap them with a really hard leather wrap to it, stitch it up. And you make it as hard as you possibly can. And these things were really expensive. First of all, it would take a guy probably almost a whole day's salary just to make one golf ball, for these guys. So these old rich guys would go out, and they'd hit golf balls, they'd lose them out there in the weeds and stuff like that. And what was interesting is that their caddies would find these old golf balls. And one of the things that happened in the industry was that they noticed that the caddies could out-hit them with these old golf balls versus what they could do with a brand new golf ball. So they were trying to figure out what the heck was going on. And finally, they figured out that the caddies were playing with golf balls that had all these dents in them, because they'd been hit before with steel clubs, and they got all these little dents and stuff like that. And a couple of smart guys started to figure out that, you know what, these golf balls kind of go a little further if they've got dents in them. So what they began to think of was that golf balls with a little more experience fly straighter, and they fly higher, and they fly further than the new ones do. And one of the things that I'd like to point out is scouting is a little bit like a golf ball. So each time we learn a new merit badge or a new skill, or we place ourselves in a new position, we learn something from it. We grow a little bit. And so it's like adding a little dimple or dent to us, our experience. Those little dents add up, and they become the sum total of where we're trying to go. And I think the more dented our ball becomes, the further and straighter I think we're going to go. And maybe that's why Eagle Scouts seem to soar farther, they go straighter, and they fly higher than others. Also, because they fly higher, the only footsteps on the moon are made by Eagle Scouts. So I'm really happy to have had Kenny around me, to see his growth, because he's actually given me a few more dents myself. So I have something for Kenny. When the feathering was replaced in the 1800s, there was a substance called gutta percha, which is a latex product that comes out of Malaysia. And what they realized is that they could take this very hard latex and they could pound little dents into the golf balls. That's how they were manufacturing golf balls for a long time. They physically hand beat on them. And I have something for Ken. This is a gutta percha golf ball, 1895. Wow. For your dents.
Now we know how old Mr. Cardinal is. I had to, I'm sorry. At this time, I'd like to call up Ms. Katie Larsen, Troop 73, Medical Records Chair, to share her thoughts on Kenny's scouting career.
Good afternoon. I'm Katie Larsen, better known as Kenny's mom. And this is a very special day. I'm so excited and proud to have all of you here. I'm actually deeply moved by seeing all of you here in the sanctuary, so I may cry, sorry about that. Today we have guests from near and far. We have guests here from Minnesota and from Michigan and from Oregon and all over. So I'm so grateful to everyone who made such an effort to come and be here today. Thank you. Several weeks ago, as I began preparations for today, I was talking with Neil Dennis. Neil is an Eagle Scout and a dad and one of the worship leaders here at Good Shepherd. I was saying that getting ready for an Eagle Court of Honor is surprisingly complicated. There's a lot to it. There's the photographer and the videographer, the ceremony, the invitations, the reception. It's a lot like planning for a wedding. But Neil set me straight. He said, KB, getting married is easy. You find that special someone, you fall in love, you get engaged, you have a wedding. That's easy. Earning an eagle, that's hard. That's what he said. So thank you, Neil, wherever you are out there, for setting me straight. And I agree with Neil. Earning an eagle is a very big challenge. Do I look like a proud mom? Well, you got that right, I am. I'm proud of both my kids, Ellie and Kenny, but today is a day to celebrate Kenny's accomplishments. Of course, I think you may have already figured out I'm not particularly objective about my son. One day when Kenny was 6 or 7 years old and I was working, it was a Saturday I think, Kenny went to visit my parents in Mill Valley. When Kenny walked in the door, my parents said, "Hi Kenny, we're glad you're here. Sit down, make yourself at home. We're watching a game. So Kenny, who is it you like to cheer for?" Kenny thought for a moment and he said, "Well, mostly I cheer for my mom." I'm biased, obviously, but as Kenny's mom, I can certainly attest to the amount of effort and passion that Kenny has poured into scouting. He really gives scouting his all, and he's been completely devoted to scouting for the last 6 years. The very first overnight camping trip that Kenny went on with Troop 73 was Family Fiesta up at Camp Tamarancho. And I remember when Kenny came back early Sunday afternoon, I took one look at him, and I gasped because he was hopping and hobbling, and his knee was the size of a football. And I asked him, "Kenny, what happened?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, Mom, I hurt my knee, but I had the best time." And then let's think about this for a minute. As great as Kenny's first overnight with the Scouts was, it could have ended differently. As it turned out, Kenny had tore the ligaments in his knee. Keep in mind, during the campout, Kenny was a newly bridged Scout, maybe 11 years old. He didn't really know most of the boys, and the boys could have left him in his tent and run off to play capture the flag, which was the troop favorite game, but they didn't do that. The night that Kenny hurt his knee, his patrol leader got together a group of boys to play cards instead of playing capture the flag. And Kenny told me, "We played a card game called BS. Don't worry, Mom, that's short for Boy Scouts." It was great. So, truth be told, those boys actually sacrificed something for Kenny that night. I imagine that they would have rather played capture the flag, but instead they gave of themselves for the new kid. Those boys went out of their way to help the new Scout and let him have a good time. The Scouting program has a way of teaching boys how to take a sideways situation and to turn it into something good, meaningful, and even fun. Those are the kinds of values that Scouting teaches. The bridge those boys built that night with Kenny became the basis of a whole new set of friends, and in a way, it was a pivotal moment in his life. Kenny's had some wonderful leadership opportunities and adventures in Scouting and the Order of the Arrow. He's done so many things and traveled and met Scouts from all over the United States and some parts of the world. He's been to Washington, D.C., Virginia, Michigan, West Virginia, Nevada, the state of Washington. He's been to several different councils. He's done countless service projects. And he's also had a chance to practice leadership skills on a scale that exceeds his years. I'm exceedingly proud of Kenny, and I'm proud of his accomplishments, but I see his accomplishments from a different perspective. I know you all came to this Court of Honor to celebrate Kenny's accomplishments, but I have to come clean because I invited all of you here today so that we could celebrate you. We want to celebrate all of you. Thank you. Thank you for loving my son. Thank you for the years that you have given and the gifts of self that you have given to him. So many of you have sacrificed so that Kenny could be where he is today. I want to thank my parents for being such outstanding influence in Kenny's life. We're grateful that the community of Nevada has been a safe and beautiful place to grow up. Thank you to Good Shepherd Lutheran Church and School for showing Kenny loving kindness and blessing him and raising him upright. Thank you to Sonoma Academy community for pushing Kenny and supporting him and challenging him academically. Thank you to the Music Boosters. Thank you to my posse of colleagues from work. You bent your schedule so that I could get Kenny where he needed to go. Thank you to all the Scouts, committee members, and Assistant Scoutmasters of Troop 73 who came to meeting after meeting so that things could happen. Thank you for the members of the Order of the Arrow who taught Kenny about leadership and cheerful service. You organized and attended outings. I'm a single mom. You gave Kenny rides and more rides so that he could attend events. You have no idea how important that has been. Boards of review, outdoor skills, leadership skills. You gave him the space and the grace to try stuff and learn from his mistakes. Having a safe place to fail is a very valuable gift. You are outstanding role models for Kenny. You taught him patience and perseverance. You taught him the value of humor. You encouraged him to have a heart for service. To me, the gifts of self that you've given to Kenny, your time, your energy, your love, are immensely and intensely beautiful. More beautiful than the most beautiful sunset, fireworks display, or the finest masterpiece hanging in some museum somewhere. Many of you don't even know each other, but you work together. Your gifts of self and sacrifices came together to make Kenny who he is. You built a foundation that upholds Kenny now and will continue to propel him into the future. So in a way, there's a bit of everyone here in Kenny. And some of you have given much more than a bit. Without all of you, Kenny wouldn't be who he is. And the words thank you seem so small and dismissive in comparison to the gratitude I feel, all of you. So please accept my heartfelt thanks for all that you've contributed so that this celebration can happen. Really, this is a celebration of all of you. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming today and all you've done.
Every successful Eagle Scout is a great mother. I know Kenny appreciates everything you've done for him. If I can, I just want to take a minute and share my experience with Kenny, even though it's not in the bulletin, but I'm going to do it anyway. I've known Kenny for 5 years now, and I just want to say, in those 5 years, Kenny has become a great friend, both in scouting and outside of scouting. And if there's one value in the Scout law that I think embodies Kenny the most, and it's been alluded to today, is cheerfulness. You can throw any challenge you want at Kenny. You can throw the rain, the thunder, you can throw sickness, whatever, and Kenny will find a way to overcome it. He will find a way to make the event happy, engaging, and he'll do what he can to make sure everybody leaves the hill, leaves the campsite, whatever it is, with a smile on their face. You know, I'm looking forward to the next outing. Thank you for your service and your leadership in the Oviedo, the scouting. You've done so much. Congratulations, Kenny. It's now come the time to actually present the Eagle Scout Award to you. So, Mr. Dave Rempe, Troop 73 Scoutmaster, can come forward to present the Eagle Award.
I have Nancy give me a hand up here too. Kenny, you want to come up here? Yeah. We got stuff for you. Katie, come up. Everybody else. The Eagle Scout Award is earned by those scouts who have demonstrated leadership in their troop, obtained knowledge and ability to teach scouts skills, and shown the willingness to serve their community. The Eagle Scout Award is the highest rank a Boy Scout can achieve and the highest honor a troop can bestow. Kenny, your mother has been with you through every step of your journey. In appreciation for her self-sacrifice, I would like her to carefully pin your Eagle badge. And in appreciation of your mother's support and impressive devotion, please present her with this Eagle Mother's Day. Recognition of your father's love and support, please present him with this Eagle Father. This makes it official. This is from I now present you Troop 73's newest Eagle Scout. On behalf of the Scouts, Troop Committee, and adult leaders of Troop 73, we congratulate you and present you with this fantastical Eagle Scout Polo Cup.
So it's customary that an Eagle Scout can share some of his thoughts about his time and all those he's encountered. So, Kenny, your time.
Good evening, everybody. I can say with confidence that only 8 years ago or so, I never would have imagined seeing myself before you all today. And it's only because of a lot of people that have really been mentors to me throughout my scouting career. So every Eagle Scout has the opportunity to award one mentor pin. And, well, some people give more, but only one person came to mind for me. There's been one man who's been with me all my life who has helped me throughout my entire scouting career. From my Pinewood Derby car all the way up to my Eagle Project. It's my absolute honor to invite forward my grandfather, Bill Valentine. I told myself I wouldn't cry. I have cried. Each Eagle Scout also has the chance to recognize a young scout who has shown great potential. And then the Eagle Scout challenges this younger scout to get his eagle. So there's one scout that came to mind when I thought about this. He joined the troop just a few years ago, and I've seen him become a leader around events just in 1 year. And I was especially impressed when he took charge of Scout Sunday. So it's my honor to welcome forward Harold Clifton to be my Eagle Scout chaplain. I really have to thank every single person here, because I could definitely tell a story about every single person in this room, about how they mattered to me and how they have affected me throughout my scouting career. And I was thinking, you know, why is this good? There feel like there's an easy answer, but it took me a while to figure out how to say it, why, and in a way that I could communicate my feelings about it. And I found this in a quote from a guy named Benjamin Zander. He said, "The definition of success is the amount of smiling eyes that you see every day." And looking around here, I see a lot of smiling eyes. And it is only you that lets me I have succeeded. It is not me. So I'd like to dedicate this Eagle Scout Award to every single person in this room and every single person who couldn't be here today. You have earned the Eagle Scout rank. I am just accepting it for you up here. Thank you very, very much throughout my scouting, for everything you've done throughout my scouting career. Thank you.
Mr. Robert Tom can please come forward to lay the Eagle charge.
Chief, I had the pleasure of being advisor to Kenneth when he was the lodge chief a few years back. And got the privilege to give you the Eagle Charge. Boy Scouts of the world constitutes one of the most wholesome and significant movement in history. And you, Kenneth Larsen, have been counted worthy of its highest rank of its membership. All who know you rejoice in you. Your position, as you know, is one of honor and responsibility. You are a mark. As an Eagle Scout, you assume the sole obligation of your duty to God, to country, and fellow Scouts. Mankind in general. This is a great undertaking as you live up to your obligation. You being honored to yourself and your brothers in scouting. If you fail, you become If you fail, you bring down the good name of true and worthy Scouts. Your responsibility goes beyond your fellow Scout. It goes to your country and God. America has given good things to you and your children after you. But these good things depend on the quality she installs on her citizens. You are prepared to help America in all her needs. America in all what she... I'm sorry for that. Let's read this again. You are prepared to help America in all that she needs most. She has been great in the past, and you will make her great in the future. I charge you to undertake your citizenship with a solemn dedication. Be a leader, but lead only towards the best. Lift up every task you do and every office you hold to the highest level of service to God and your fellow men. We have too many who use their strength and their intellect to exploit others for selfish gain. Kenny, I charge you to be among those who dedicate their skills and ability to the common good. Build America on a solid foundation of clean living, honest work, unselfish citizenship, and reverence to God. Whatever others do, you will leave behind you a record of which Scouts may be proud. Kenny, congratulations.
probably be like, what did I get myself into? But not Kenny. Not Kenny. He's ready and he's prepared. One of the coolest parts of the Eagle Scout ceremonies is the opportunity to invite all Eagle Scouts from the troop, from other troops, to come forward and to pass the Eagle Flame and to share where they were when they earned their Eagle and what troop and what year. So at this point in time, if all fellow Eagle Scouts would please come forward and align yourselves with the most seasoned Eagle Scouts on this side of the room and the newest Eagle Scouts on that side of the room. Kenny, you're probably going to be all the way down there. Okay, so we will start with the most seasoned Eagle Scout to my left. He will introduce himself, and please say what year you received your Eagle, where and what troop, and then pass the flame down. And when. So this is Mr. Harold Bennett, and he was an Eagle Scout in 1927 from Anoka, Minnesota. And fun fact, he also attended the first National Scout Jamboree, which, if my knowledge serves me correct, was also in 1927.
Lester Carlson, Troop 30, Taft, California, 1952.
Richard Losey, Troop 159, Woodside, California.
What year? What year?
1959.
Tony May, Troop 1, Dhahran, Saudi Arabia, June 11, 1963.
Ed Morris, Troop 226, Sacramento, California, May 24th, 1964.
Bill Millar, Santa Monica, California, 1974, Troop 61.
Robert Tom, Troop 49, Fairfax, California, December 20th, 1976.
Matt Swalbert, Troop 15, San Anselmo, California, March 24th, 1978.
Glenn Williams, Shawthorne, Pennsylvania, Troop 133, Bucks County Council, November 17th, 1979.
Doug McPherson, Troop 72, Santa Fe, California, 1980.
Dave Rempe, Troop 42, Novato, February 1982.
Jeff Clark, Troop 89, Alameda, California, March 1985.
Neil Dennis, Troop 73, Kenneth, Oklahoma, 1995.
Michael Kincher, Troop 10 of Oakley, California, 2012. Ian Krieger, Troop 153, Fremont, California, August 2012.
Michael Swalburn, Troop 59, Green Beret, California, May 6, 2013.
Kevin Makins, Troop 48, Fremont, California, July 2013.
Jonathan Sant, Crew 479, Elk Grove, California, November 19, 2013.
Benji Moore, Troop 73, March 13, 2014.
Tamara Haywood, Troop 73, Nevada, California, November 12, 2014.
Edward Losi, Troop 38, Santa Fe, California, November 2014.
Dylan Moynihan, Troop 38, Santa Fe, California, December 2014.
Kyle Roselle, Novato, California, Troop 73, February 2015.
Kenny Larsen, Troop 73, Novato, California, March 19th, 2015.
Kenny, on behalf of all the Eagles present today, welcome to the Eagle Brotherhood. You guys make a lot of can. If I can call up Pastor John Beckman again from the Good Shepherd Lutheran Church to lead us in our benediction.
Receive the benediction. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord look upon you with favor, give you peace. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
If I can call Mr. Bill Gardner, Council President Marin Council, to close this Eagle Court of Honor.
Kenny, before I conduct my official duties today, I just want to add my congratulations to you, and KB, to you. I've seen you in action for years behind the scenes. What an impressive thing. Congratulations to all of you, especially you. All the Marine Council is proud of you this day. Congratulations. Boy Scouts of America, and in my official capacity as President of the Council, I hereby
say that following the Court of Honor, there will be a reception. You just go straight through the hall. There's some food, good company, and we can celebrate and chat with Kenny with all he's accomplished. At this point, if I could call up Troop 73's color guard to close out our Court of Honor. Mr. Carter Foreman.
Will the audience please rise? Color guard, attention. Color guard, advance. Color guard, halt. Please prepare to retire the colors. Color guard, please retire the colors. Scout salute. Color guard, dismissed.
Thank you.